As a Toronto Raptors fan, I had a lot of hope for this team going into this season, but the only really one main concern is that they don't have that number one guy, that superstar player that can just absolutely dominate, be top 10 in the league, and go get you a bucket down the stretch in clutch games. But now it looks like they might have that player, and of course that being Pascal Siakam. I mean, he has absolutely dominated so far this year, and I have the extremely hot take that by the end of this year, he could be a top 10 player in the NBA, and he will literally be in the conversation for the MVP award this season. I mean, so far this year in the first 8 games of the year, every single aspect of his game looks dominant, looks polished, and there's no way that teams can guard him, whether they send double teams at him or just try to guard him straight up one-on-one. He looks unguardable so far this year. He's put up 2 triple-doubles so far this year already in only 8 games. He's putting up overall just Jokic-like stat lines, and he's dominating on both ends of the floor. So I'm going to analyze his game today so far this year and explain why he's going to be able to keep this up throughout the year and enter himself into the MVP conversation. So first, let's talk about Pascal Siakam's scoring. And of course, this is the best part of his game. He's always been a really good scorer in the post. He's always been crafty around the rim with his spin moves. He's been able to get to the rim very effectively, really his whole career, and dominate down there. That's what makes him a good player. But this year he's been on a whole other level, and we saw a little bit of this towards the end of last year as well, how he's really just dominating inside of the paint and looking unstoppable a lot of the time. In times throughout Pascal's career, especially in the bubble in 2020 and a couple of years ago in 2021 as well, he's looked kind of unconfident sometimes. I mean, sometimes he loses his confidence and he's not able to finish strong around the rim. Sometimes he stops going to the rim as a whole and just settles for jump shots, which is obviously where he's not as good. But this year he's been absolutely dominant down inside the paint. He's been able to pretty much exploit any matchup he gets inside of the post. Those spin moves are on a different level this year. His little hook shots inside of the paint are looking just absolutely unguardable, and he's scoring at a very high level. Right now, he's 14th in the league in points per game, putting up 25.6 points per game, and in terms of his efficiency, he's pretty much above average in every category. He's shooting about 47.7% from the field, an overall 57% true shooting almost, and 36.1% from 3, which is well above average at the power forward position. And I think this is really the biggest key for Pascal's game when it comes to scoring, because he's never really been that great of a three-point shooter. He's always been able to, teams have kind of always been able to leave him open on the perimeter a lot of the time, but that's not the case this year. His three-point shot is falling a lot more consistently, and the fact that he's a threat from there now, not only just off of the catch, but also off of the dribble sometimes as well, means that defenders now have to press up against him a little bit more on the perimeter. And from here, it's really, I mean, having the ability to shoot just has an incredible effect on every player and every player's team. And it's because now defenders obviously have to press up on him a little bit more. That allows him to get to the rim a little bit easier. And then when he gets to the rim, since he's so lethal around there, he's been able to draw double teams, which allows him to rack up those assists a little bit more, which I'm going to talk about next. Just his playmaking, which has gone absolutely off the charts as well. But overall, the main point I'm making here is Pascal's three-point shot getting a little bit more consistent, and him having definitely a lot more confidence in that shot is having a big effect on his game as well. So really overall, his scoring has just looked dominant this season. He's looking like one of the best scorers in the league. He's able to handle the ball. He's able to pretty much play any position offensively. He can be a kind of big center and get down in the post and play bully ball down there. He can play the role of being more of a point forward and lead the team out in transition a lot of the time, handle the ball at the top of the key, and be able to create his own shots there and shots for others, and whether those are jump shots, mid-range shots, little hook shots around the rim, he's really able to do it all offensively. And that overall offensive bag absolutely includes his playmaking and passing ability, which, like I mentioned, has just skyrocketed. I mean, last year Pascal set a career high, putting up about 5.3 assists per game. So far this year, I know it's only 8 games, but he is averaging 8 assists per game, and I don't expect this to go down at all. He is 7th in the entire league in assists per game, behind some of the most elite playmakers, of course, in the game today. He's number 1 by far so far in the league at the power forward position in assists per game, and really this is, again, all because of his ability to get in the paint and draw double teams and have that gravity. So really his scoring is allowing him to get more assists as well, because now he's seeing more double teams, but because now he has that lethal passing ability added to his game as well, it's not as easy for teams to just send double teams towards him all the time when he's posted up. We've seen this a lot with Nikola Jokic as well, where it's so tough for teams to decide what they want to do offensively because he's so good at both scoring inside of the paint, especially with those hook shots, and kicking it out to the perimeter and finding wide open three-point shooters, wide open cutters, and this is the exact same thing with Pascal Siakam, especially this year. He does a really good job of, like I said, kicking out to the three-point line, getting open shots for his team that way, finding cutters, and especially in transition as well. That's where he gets a lot of his assists, is when he gets out and the team is able to get out and run, and he's able to find guys that way. That's obviously the easiest way to score. It's something that the Toronto Raptors have been the best in the league at for many years now, and Pascal is definitely used to that system now. He's used to running and getting to the rim and scoring a lot of the time, and now he's able to dish out a lot of assists as well. Like I said, averaging 8 assists, 7th in the league. He's just been an incredible playmaker so far this year, and that has really completed his offensive package. And really just overall, Pascal's just playing with so much confidence right now. And that has always been the question for his overall game. It doesn't matter what aspect of offensive game we're talking about, it's really always been about confidence for Pascal. He's always had, or sometimes he's had some trouble with not being able to get himself to the rim, just leaving shots a little bit short sometimes, not being able to play well in clutch situations, having a lot of turnovers, and I think that's just because of his confidence. He's always had this skill level, but now he's more aggressive, he's more confident, he's improved his jump shot a lot, which, like I said, has really had a ripple effect on all of the aspects of his offensive game, and he's just dominating on that end of the floor with both his scoring and his passing. On the other side of the floor, defensively, Pascal's always been a beast here, and he's obviously keeping that up this year as well. He's always been able to defend 1 through 5 pretty well. He's versatile. He's able to switch on the perimeter, be quick. He has great hands. He's able to stick with guys on the perimeter and contest shots really effectively, and then also just be a beast down low, go up against big centers. And that's something I've really liked about Pascal this year too, is defensively he's playing big. And since the Raptors don't really have a traditional big man that is like 7 feet and also really like strong and built, sometimes they can have trouble going up against big dominant big men like Joel Embiid, but Pascal's done a good job of guarding guys like Embiid, switching onto them a lot of the time, and sometimes just straight up matching up against them and holding his own really well. He's always been really good defensively. He's keeping that up, and he's bringing really the energy on both ends of the floor. He's also always been really a good rebounder, and so far this year he's on a pace for also having a career high in that category as well, averaging 9.6 rebounds so far this year. So I mean, really every aspect of his game is on point right now. You can't ask for much more from Pascal. The confidence that he's playing at right now with every single aspect of the game is really at an all-time high, and now he's surpassing other players in the NBA and really making himself a case to be a top 10 player by the end of this season. I think if the Raptors can keep up as a team, what they're doing now, blowing out opponents, right now they're 5-3. If they can make the playoffs and get into the top 6, and Pascal keeps up what he's doing, averaging over 25 points and really close to a triple-double, and doing it efficiently while also being really reliable on the defensive end of the floor, I think he should absolutely be in the MVP conversation. I mean, the value that he has towards this team is really incredible. You take him off this team and really they go to shambles, because he's everything for them right now. He's the guy that runs their offense. The offense runs through him a lot of the time when he gets those passes in the post, when he's dominating down low, and really he can run everything. And we saw even in last night's game against the Spurs how the Raptors are without Fred VanVleet, who is also been really consistent over these last few years, but people think that Fred runs the offense, and a lot of the time he does, but we saw how there's really no difference with him in the lineup versus without, because Pascal can really take on that role too. He can be the point forward, he can be that number one guy and still absolutely dominate for this team. And there used to be questions about whether Pascal can be that number one guy, and I still think there might be some from a little bit of haters, since he really still hasn't proved that he's really that guy in the clutch yet. But since everyone knows he is that number one guy now, he's going to get many opportunities throughout this year to close out games, close games down the stretch for this team, and I think this is the year that come playoff time, he can continue dominating in the playoffs as well. So there you have it. That's all I've got for analysis in today's video. Pascal Siakam is turning from a star to a superstar. I really hope he can keep this up throughout the year because it's very fun to watch. He is that guy, and he is playing at such a high level right now and really putting himself in the conversation to be among the elite players in the NBA. And the fact that he's doing it for my Raptors, we haven't seen a dominant player like the Raptors like this since Kawhi, so it's very exciting stuff to see a number one guy emerge like this in Toronto, and I definitely hope he can keep it up on both ends of the floor throughout the rest of the season, and I think he definitely will because of all the reasons I discussed in today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you comment down below your thoughts on Siakam, and I'll see you all next video.